podcasts are going to be coming up on those, on the iTunes. You just look up the names. So whatever podcast you're looking for, just look up the names to iTunes, and it should be popping up. Even Twitter, you can go to Twitter, the IKE 3, you can find it there. Facebook, you can find it there. So my predictions, 21-17. And I had one more thing I wanted to talk to everybody about before we got off the air. Listen, guys, even when we lose, make sure to tell everybody we're still on. I'm still on. Even when the Broncos lose, I still come on and I still talk. I know it's hard. It's hard to do it, but I still do it. I still do it every week. Some weeks I do a music show. If I'm like, if it really hurts bad, I'll do a music show. But tonight I had to do my sports because I had to talk sport. I could talk sports all night long. I can go with sports all night long. It's so much fun to do sports shows. Last week I did 2 hours of sports, and I didn't even realize it till the sports show was over. And right now I'm an hour over. Oh, what was that last thing I wanted to do before we were out of here? I have one more thing to announce before we are out of here, and I cannot remember. Remember again that Thursdays, starting next week, Chris is taking over, or not Chris, Dave Clements is taking over Thursdays for Lisa. That's one announcement. Oh, okay, now I know. Sorry about that, guys. I wanted to get into some of the chats, and I just want to read a couple before I go. It's still going like crazy. Okay, so here's one of the questions. I didn't get a chance to do the trivia. I probably have to write the trivia in later. I have 3 trivia questions, but I'll have to do them later because I'm already over my time. With 2 games left, does anyone see the Broncos getting into the playoffs? That was my question, right? With 2 games left, does anybody see the Broncos getting in the playoffs? There was a lot of no's from Bronco fans. There's over 100 likes on this, but there was a lot of no's from Bronco fans. But let me see if I can find a good one that I can read to you. Okay, so I found one from Mark Archuleta, and he wrote, "To me, I never lose hope, but if we did, how far can we go with the O-line? For real, it's time to rebuild. I think everyone is forgetting we just won a Super Bowl. Repeating isn't easy, and the last one to do it was us. Ha ha ha. Broncos to the bone." Okay, Mark Archuleta, that's awesome. Same thing I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell everybody else. It's leadership at the quarterback position. It's not the offensive line. We actually have a higher rated offensive line right now than we did last year with Peyton Manning at quarterback. Our offensive line is ranked 72.3, and last year when we went to the Super Bowl, it was ranked 69.4, I'm pretty sure. So let me see if I get any more. There's all kinds of questions on here, but there are a lot of the same ones. Somebody put on here, if Tennessee, Ryan Quintana writes, if Tennessee wins out, I think we will sneak in. That's what he writes. But I think that if Tennessee wins out, then I think that we're knocked out either way. So right now, here's the playoff scenario. So you have the top 6 that are in right now. If the season ended today, you have New England at 12-2. You have Oakland 11-3. You have Pittsburgh 9-5. You have Houston 8-6. Then you have the wild card teams. You have Kansas, which is 10-4, who we have coming up this week, and then you have Miami, which is 9-5. And then we got the teams on the outside looking in, which is Baltimore, and number 7, which is 8-6. So we need Baltimore to lose. We also need Miami to lose. We got Tennessee at 8-6. We need Tennessee to lose. And then we got the Denver Broncos at 8-6. And so the Broncos just have to win. So right now, if Miami, Baltimore, and Tennessee lose, then the Broncos are back in the playoffs. They're actually the 6th seed if those 3 teams lose this weekend. Right behind them, though, is Indianapolis, which is 7-7, which we win the tiebreaker because we beat them. And then Buffalo is 7-7. I don't know about the tiebreaker on that one. I'll have to check. Let me see. I'll just read a couple more of these. So Scott Ditcham, he writes in and he says 8-8 is going to be the reality, which I disagree with you, Scott. Thank you for your comment on my post, on my chat, but I disagree with you on that one. And then you also have, let me see, I'm going to read one more. I'm going through all the ones that wrote on my chat. All right, I'm going to read this one. The person's name is Patience Reese. That's pretty cool. Patience Reese. Patience, that's what we need. The fat lady isn't singing yet. Until we are eliminated along with the Chargers, we always have a chance. So I'm going to put a like on that one. So yeah, there's on this one alone, there's probably 150 comments. So make sure everybody that writes in that one, make sure you come over to the chat in the podcast. And I'm gonna everybody in that chat, I'm gonna send you the podcast. So hopefully you can come over to the podcast and you can check it out and see what you think. Hopefully you guys like it. Make sure you put a like on there and say hi that you were here so I know. And then I'll be giving some shout outs. Actually, let me give a couple shout outs before we go. I wrote that on my page too. And on my page I only got like 10 comments. But in some of these groups I got like a lot of comments. So I want to give a shout out to Broncos Forever. Shout out to you guys. Denver Broncos fans. Denver Broncos. That's one of the ones that had my post in there. DBL for life. Denver Broncos fans for life. Shout out to you guys. Broncos family. Orange Crush Soldiers. Broncos country. Orange and blue Bronco fans worldwide. And then my friend. And then Gary Martinez in the Denver Broncos locker room. Gary Martinez is all over the different groups chatting. But my friend, where is she at? She has a group. I'll give her a big shout out next week. Her groups. She just went over. Shout out to her. She just went over 10,000 in her membership. She wrote that on here this week. She just went over 10,000 members in her Bronco group. So it's pretty cool to know that she and all of her people, everybody in her group they're all active. So it's pretty cool to see that they're all active. Her sister's name is Rhonda. So shout out Rhonda. I know you know who I'm talking about, Rhonda. So let your sister know I said congratulations. My mind is thinking somewhere else right now. But shout out to Rhonda, one of my really good friends, and she's in the group with her sister. So if I could just find it. I always have a hard time because it's Broncos High Hard or something. Golly. I'll make sure I'll give the shout out next week. So that's about it, guys. We lost 16-3 yesterday. The season has been up and down like a roller coaster. I see the Broncos sneaking into the playoffs, and if the Broncos get in the playoffs, I'm telling everybody, watch out. Watch out for the Broncos because that defense is still good enough, even though we're not very good at the quarterback play. The Broncos are still good enough to compete with anybody. So make sure that you make sure you keep an eye on that because, like I said, they could compete with anybody, and I'm really excited about everything coming up, all the competition, all the games coming up, especially this next weekend with Kansas And then we got the Raiders right after. I'll have field passes for the Raider game. So if you want any more information on that. So I'll let everybody know now, if it's cold that day, if it's below 10 degrees, I will have some Raider Bronco field passes available for sale. No, they only give me 2 field passes a year to go check out the Broncos, so I always try to use them up. But I will be so look for me if you're at the Raider Bronco game, the last game of the season. Look for me, and I'll have some free giveaways. I will be on the field for most of the time, and then at the end, I'll be at the locker room and then leaving from there. So I will have some giveaways for everybody. So make sure to check me out then. It's been an awesome podcast. I'm very proud to be here. I'm very proud to be a Denver Bronco fan, win or lose. And I want to thank you. Thank you, Chris, for staying in the chat with me tonight. You are awesome, Chris Stevens. Make sure you check out Chris Stevens' podcast on Fridays, Freaks in the Basement. It goes down. That's the show you want to check out. It's cool. It's a great show. I'm going to call it a night. Shout out to all the Bronco fans. Shout out to you, Chris Stevens, and Freaks in the Basement Fridays. Make sure you check it out. And this is good night for the sports podcast. It was I had a really good time. I was the way we got the heat in here is kind of making me kind of tired. So I might sound like I'm a little tired tonight. I'm really not tired, but I sound a little tired tonight if I do. I don't have a sports intro, but I'll play my jam intro that Chris made for me. So make sure you check out the jam on Saturday.
You're listening to the Jam with Ike Dog.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening in, and make sure you write in the chat if you get a chance. Make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you check out all our podcasts. Thank you. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.